the night before week 1 gets going. So it's Wednesday night, it's late night episode, and we're both ready to talk some week 1 football and do a different kind of episode than we've done the past few weeks. So Brandon, if you're good, let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, I'm good. Let's go.
All right, sounds good. First thing I wanted to do prior to each week is break down where each ASUN team is in the top 25, depending on who's ranked and who's not. So we're going to flash that up right now. If you look at the poll, Jacksonville State is ranked at number 10. Central Arkansas is at 14, and then Kennesaw State is at 19, and that is in the Stats Perform top 25. And so, Brandon, give me your thoughts. I know you have your own top 25, so give me some thoughts. What do you think about where UCA, Jacksonville State, and Kennesaw find themselves prior to week 1?
Yeah, so as both of us know, we're voters on the FCS top 10 poll. A way for me to make it easier on myself of making a voting for the top 10 a little easier, I have a full top 25, and I do not have Jacksonville State as high as they are in this poll. I actually have them 5 slots lower at 15. And I have Central Arkansas 3 slots higher than where they are at 11. And then I have Kennesaw 2 slots lower than what they are. I personally, I go with a lot of superstition with my own team. I'd rather us start a little lower than where I think we're going to start. 10 is a little high. Where I would like to see us start is maybe at number 12. So I naturally put us at like 15. So we have some like wiggle room throughout the season.
Yep.
And then KSU, obviously, they should not be in the top 20. They have regressed so much. So I put them in my top 25, but not in the top 20. And then UCA, I'm just really high on UCA this year. They look really good coming into the fall. So I think they should be a little higher than 14. Like I have them at number 11.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's UCA and Jacksonville State are 2 teams that they've had a ton of fluctuation in different preseason polls. We could talk about that CBS poll that came.
Oh my God. There is no way in the world JSU deserves to be in the top 5 right now.
And I don't know that there's any world in which UCA doesn't deserve to be in the top 25, but I'm a homer. So, but regardless, UCA in a couple polls, I've seen people have them as high as 7, but then I've seen like the CBS poll has us outside. We weren't even receiving votes in that poll. So Jacksonville State's the same way. I've seen people have them like the stats poll has them in the top 10, but then I've seen people drop them as low as 20. And so it's just kind of those 2 teams will feel each other out a little bit as the year goes on. But I agree with you about Kennesaw. I don't know that Kennesaw is a top 20 team. Now they have the potential to be. I think that you look up in a few weeks and potentially they are, but I don't necessarily think right now they are based on what I saw last season and all the teams that didn't play. But yeah, I did have, so I missed the first week of voting for the FCS top 10, unfortunately, because I had some things on my plate, But Lawrence wouldn't let me sneak my poll in late. Thought he might, not see that I voted late and put me in, but he did not. But UCA I do have at 10, and Jacksonville State I did not have in my top 10. So, but they'd be right there. In my opinion, they'd be around the 14, 15 spot with the potential to move into the top 25, especially if they were to knock off UAB. So we shall see. But yeah, I agree that there's some good things and some bad things about the poll. Who outside of the ASUN, what do you think about the rest of the poll? Just to get your opinion.
I personally do not think. Now, I will say this about James Madison. I had an epiphany today looking at the Versus Simulator app, which if you don't have that app, you need to go download it right now.
Absolutely.
It is a really good app.
It's worth it.
I had an epiphany with James Madison, so I actually in this poll I like him at number 2, but in my personal poll I have him at number 3, and then I have NDSU at number 5. So 4-5 is a good spot I think for NDSU right now. I actually have Montana a lot higher. I have Montana in my top 4. Or in my top 5. I am very high on Montana coming into this season.
I had them at 5.
NDSU is at 5.
I said I had them at 5.
Oh, you have them at 5.
Yeah. In my poll, it didn't get counted.
As far as everything else, I mean, if you look at the bottom of this poll, there's a lot of teams that definitely deserve to be in the top 25, but there's also a lot of teams that I personally think deserve to be in the top 25 that I have. So like 20 through 25, I have in order, I have FAMU, Kennesaw, Nichols, Alabama A&M, Murray State, and Jackson State. So a lot of HBCUs in my poll, like especially at the bottom of the poll. Really watch out for the HBCUs this year.
What about North Carolina Central?
To be determined.
Hadn't decided yet?
Not yet. To be determined. I got to see how week 1 plays out.
I understand.
But that was a very good win that they just picked up.
It was. That was a fun game to watch. That was very fun. It was awesome to see game day there in Atlanta for that game. Hopefully we'll see game day at another FCS site, maybe later in the year. But that was fun to start off the year with 2 FCS teams playing down in Atlanta. I agree with pretty much everything you said, except I don't know how I feel. Now, I think Sam Houston State deserves to be in the top spot just because they're the defending national champion. They're not losing a whole lot, but I do not expect to see them back at 1 at the end of the year. I do not expect them to win the national championship. If I were placing a futures bet right now on an FCS national champion, I would probably put it on North Dakota State with Quincy Patterson coming in. Other than that, I think that's the only thing they were missing last year was a quarterback. I mean, Zeb Nolan wasn't it, and I mean we found that out halfway through the year when they made the quarterback change. But I think that Quincy Patterson may have that it factor and can get North Dakota State back to dominating the subdivision. But I think that if they had had Quincy Patterson in the spring, you probably wouldn't be saying that Sam Houston was the best team in the country right now.
Right. So I have Sam Houston. I did like bold playoff predictions after looking at the numbers on the Versus Simulator app. So I have my own bracketology, but I also went ahead and made some like bold predictions for the playoffs. And I have Sam Houston in the semis, and I have James Madison winning the entire thing.
I like it. I mean, you can see on the page that the most popular prediction is to see North Dakota State and James Madison back in Frisco.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everybody's favorite bet to play, which, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, when you look at like the numbers of like the offense, defense, power, all of that, James Madison is the most even team. And there is something to say, going back to what Kyler said a few years ago, you don't necessarily have to have the best offense or the best defense. You just have to have a really balanced team in order to win it all.
Right. They, I tell you what, they grow running backs like they're nothing there. It is impressive to see the line of running backs that James Madison has brought up here lately. Well, that's pretty much it for the top 25. We want to move into some different rankings here and show you the AQ7 power poll that we've been putting together. You should have seen it already on our Twitter page, Facebook, Instagram, everything like that. But we have a group of voters from different schools throughout the AQ7 and ASUN in general voting on this poll. And so this is the preseason edition going into week 1. We'll show this every week. We'll vote on it every week. Number 1 this preseason was Sam Houston. 2 was UCA. 3 Jacksonville State. And then in order, the last 4 were SFA, EKU, Abilene, and Lamar. I don't think there were a whole lot of surprises here. I think it was pretty, I guess maybe, UCA and Jacksonville State were interchangeable. And then I think some people had some parity deciding if they were going to vote for SFA or EKU at the 4 spot. But other than that, I think it was pretty predictable. How does this compare to what you had in your personal ballot?
This is exactly how I voted. Now, when we did the voting, we were including Tarleton and Dixie, but then we finally decided, hey, we're just going to stick with these 7. So without Dixie and Tarleton included, this is the exact order of my 7.
Everything was the same for me, except I did have EKU at the 4 spot. I don't necessarily think it'll stay that way. I think SFA may move up, but I don't know what it was about SFA that, maybe not put them in the 4 spot. They took EKU to Pound Town last year, but I don't know. EKU impressed me a little bit. Their quarterback, Parker McKinney's a baller. He was one of my impact players for EKU. So we'll see how that shapes up. But I don't know how much that'll change after week 1. You got 2 teams playing FBS schools. Shouldn't move a whole lot unless one of them were to knock off their FBS opponent. Sam Houston's got Northern Arizona, so I wouldn't.
That'll be a good game. I'm really excited to see that one.
It's a good it's a marquee. I wouldn't say marquee. It's a good FCS versus FCS matchup. It's good to see 2 teams like that playing each other because you don't get that a whole lot because it's really not regional. I mean, you go all the way across Texas and I guess New Mexico too to get there. So it's not super regional. So it's cool to see 2 teams like that playing each other. That'd be like UCA playing, I don't know,
North Dakota State.
Well, we did do that. But that was we're going to do that in a couple of years again. We have a home and home schedule with them, but it's cool to see 2 teams from different parts of the country go play each other that don't normally do that. So I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know that it'll be.
So you mean the contract that JSU isn't fulfilling with EWU?
Yeah. Come on. Get it together.
I'm sorry. I had to throw that in.
That's
for you, Kyler.
If you're going to freaking make a contract and say you're going to play somebody, do it.
Oh, I was pissed. I was so pissed.
That's a game that I wish they.
I'd like to see JSU play somebody like James Madison or like Richmond or somebody like that.
UCA for I guess a few years, thinking back to like 14, 15, 16, had some nice home and homes with which we always kind of do with Missouri State because it's a 2-hour, 2.5, 3-hour drive. But UT Martin, we had a home and home with them. And so games like that, those are fun to, you get to measure up with another FCS opponent. And I don't know if it's just the subdivision where, travel's a little more expensive and you have to think about costs a little more. And is it less efficient to go play somebody across the country that doesn't pay you to come there? So, but it is nice. I think that Sam Houston will get that win, but that'll be a game that I'll watch just for fun. That'll be a good measuring stick in the Dome. Is that in Flagstaff? Is that where?
Northern Arizona is? Yes, because I always get that and SEMO mixed up, but SEMO is actually coming to Huntsville.
Okay, cool. That'll be a good game too. SEMO, that could be the OVC champion if Austin Peay doesn't win it. So that's the AQ7 power poll, but I don't think there'll be a whole lot of change going into week 2, but we shall see. Going into week 1, though, let's talk about who's playing. So the first game that we have on slate is Kennesaw State and Reinhardt on Thursday. That is the first game of week 1. In my opinion, that's when week 1 starts, is the Thursday. I don't think that's week 0 anymore. That is week 1. Eastern Kentucky and Western Carolina play Saturday at 5. And then North Alabama and Southeastern Louisiana, Saturday at 6. And at the same time, Central Arkansas kicks off in Jones Boogie against Arkansas State. And which game are you most excited to watch?
I am very excited to see how UNA matches up against SLU, as I'm calling them now. So I'm very excied to see them play Southeastern Louisiana and see how it's a good measuring stick for how they're going to play for the rest of the year and going into the ASUN schedule for next year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Southeastern is a team that I fully expect to win the Southland Conference. I don't think Nichols will be even second. I think it'll probably be McNeese that'll be second place in the conference.
You and I have completely different second teams for the Southland. I have Incarnate Word.
I see. We'll see. I don't know. Eric Morris, he's got the Cardinals rolling a little bit, but there's only so much you can do at University of the Incarnate Word. But we'll see. Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic matchup for North Alabama to go play Southeastern and see how it goes. Also, I'm still going to call him Sela. I'm not afraid. If you want to subpoena me for calling you Sela, do it. I don't have any money anyway. So you're not going to get much out of me. But no, that's big time because North Alabama going into the last year transition. It's a great year to play somebody like that because you got to see where you're at starting next year. Because next year it's no more. If you go 6-5, no big deal. You couldn't make the playoffs anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If you go 6-5 next year, it's a disappointment because North Alabama's got the tradition. They expect to be playing for national championships, conference titles. So that's a good measuring stick. But that is not the most exciting game for me because I'm going to be in Jonesboro to watch UCA play Arkansas State.
Homer.
Sure. Call me a homer. I don't care. Go Bears. Roll damn Bears.
Hey, I can't say anything. I'm going to be in Montgomery on Wednesday, so.
That's right. If you're watching this and wondering why we're talking about the JSU UAB game and not about who won it, it's because recording for week 1 is going to be a little difficult with Brandon being in Montgomery for the game, me being busy with school. It's going to make it a little difficult to record Wednesday night after the game before Kennesaw and Reinhardt play on Thursday. And so to get it all edited, we're acting like that game has already happened, although it hasn't. So we're just not talking about it because we talked about it. If you haven't seen that, go preview the JSU UAB game on the week 0 if you haven't seen the game already when you're watching this. So if you followed anything that I was saying, that game hasn't happened yet, but we're pretending it has. No, the game I'm most excited for, UCA, Arkansas State. There's not a line out for this yet. We're going to get to that because we're going to make our own lines. But this is a game that if we had played, which we did play last year, but if we were playing these two teams, if Arkansas State was the same as they were last year and we were the same as we are this year, I would take UCA all day long. We're returning like 20 starters. Our D-line is going to be fantastic this year. We got some transfers coming in, and then, 2 of the best receivers in the subdivision playing on the outside. I feel like this is a game that we could get from Arkansas State, but when Butch Jones came to Jonesboro, he brought like half the SEC with him. And so they've got some transfer talent up there in Northeast Arkansas that is the only reason I'm not going to pick a wild upset. I'm not afraid to pick upsets. I picked Abilene Christian to beat Texas in the NCAA tournament. That's just, I'm bold. I'll pick those upsets, but that's why I didn't pick it preseason. It's just because the transfer talent in Jonesboro is tremendous. But it's definitely a game that I think UCA will be in, and we'll start talking about some predictions here in a little bit. But that game I'm excited for. I will be in the stands. I probably won't have a voice Sunday when we come to record the week 2 episode, so you'll have to deal with the raspy voice from me. But you heard me say we don't have any betting lines. We're going to make our own now. So me and Brandon talked before the show. We couldn't find any, probably because it's a little too early. I know a lot of FCS lines don't come out until sometimes the day of the game, if they even have them.
Sam Herder is usually really good about releasing them on like Thursday or like Wednesday.
Right.
Before Saturday.
With him doing some work with BetMGM, hoping that we'll get some good ones coming out a couple days before games. But we're sitting at a week before games start. So when we're recording this, so we won't have, the Vegas odds, but we decided to make our own. So Brandon actually set the line for 2 of the games. I set the line for the other 2. We got to play the role of the odds makers, and then I'm going to give my 2 games to Brandon and let him play the role of the better, and then he's going to do the same thing for me. And so he is going to. I'm going to pick the first one, or I'm going to give you the first game and let you pick it, if that's okay.
Okay.
And so we have not seen these yet, so he has no idea what I'm about to say. But you're picking the the Eastern Kentucky against Western Carolina game, and I set the line at 17.5 for Eastern Kentucky. So I'll let you pick that one, and you don't have to pick an outright winner. We'll do that later during the forecast. But then just you can pick against the spread, knowing what you know about their meeting last year and what you know about the teams this year. So 17.5 for Eastern Kentucky.
I'm actually going to pick the over. Western Carolina is just not a very good team. I know that kind of gives away my pick for this game, but Western Carolina is just not that good. I think Eastern Kentucky is easily going to cover. I could easily see this being like a 20-point win for EKU.
That's fair. I mean, I think it was like 41-17 last year. So
Yeah.
I mean, not to give away the pick, but I set it at 17 just because it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick an FCS over FCS unless you're talking about, like one of the Northeastern Conference teams against like North Dakota State, over 20 points to set a line like that. But I would take Eastern Kentucky to cover that one as well. So I'll go ahead and give you my other one. That way you can just pick 2 in a row. The North Alabama Southeastern game, I set the line at -10.5 for Southeastern.
Easily cover.
No faith in the lines from Alabama.
No disrespect to UNA. I mean, when you look at if I have it correct, I think on the Versus Simulator apps, Sela has a top 10 offense. And so with that being said, not pulling up my schedule from summer work, but I want to say their offense is ranked number 9. So with that in mind, I'll check while we keep going. But with that in mind, I think Sela is easily going to cover that.
Well, I put it at 10.5 because I think it's something that North Alabama keeps close, especially early in the year. I know Southeastern played in the spring, but trying to get some, the timing. They're going to throw the ball. They're going to air it out a lot with Cole Kelly. Trying to get the timing down. There's going to be some, teams that throw the ball around early in the year tend to have to warm up a little bit. And I'm gonna say North Alabama, which I know I'm not picking this one, but I'm gonna say North Alabama covers.
Yeah, Sela has, according to the Versus Simulator app, the number 6 offense in the FCS.
Well, yeah, I mean, playing the Southland, there's no defense.
I mean, yeah, because their defense was number 70, which was number 70. Hold on, let me double check that real quick. But yeah, their offense is top 10 easily. Yeah, number 70 defense.
Back when, I guess was it like 13, 14, 15-ish time frame when Southeastern was kind of the dominant force in the Southland for a few years. That was their MO, was get a transfer quarterback from the University of Oregon and throw the ball around the yard quite a bit. Saw him do it in Conway several times. But I'm gonna go against you there. I'm gonna say Southeastern wins by 10, and so in that case they don't cover. North Alabama does. So that's why I put it at 10.5, because I really think it'll be a 10-point game ish. All right, what do you got for me?
All right, so first I have the Kennesaw versus Reinhardt game, and I set the spread at 28.5 in favor of Kennesaw.
Before I pick that, to buy myself some time, do you know what the Reinhardt University mascot is, Brandon?
The Screaming Eagles.
Did you actually know that?
Yeah.
Dadgummit. All right. Sounds good.
One of my sister's ex-boyfriends plays baseball there.
Oh, well, if he hears this podcast, let him know that we don't like him.
Nah, he's a great guy,
Oh, okay.
but yeah.
Well, dang, I really thought I was gonna I don't even know where that's at. I thought I was gonna get you with that one. I had to look it up before the show. Yeah, you're right. But okay, what'd you set the line at?
28.5 in favor of Kennesaw.
No. Reinhardt covers.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think Kennesaw will win by 28. I think if they do, I don't think they'll win by more than 4 scores. I think something happens. It's not an offense that, I mean, yes, they could score points. We've seen them score points in the past, but I could see them win, 28-0. And in that case, I get money by half a point. So I'm gonna take I'm gonna say that Kennesaw State fails to cover what, in my opinion, is a large spread. But we'll see what the real one that comes out on that is, because I'll be anxious to see, do the odds makers take into consideration that Kennesaw State runs the ball every single play? Because if they don't, then who knows what they set it at. You could set that game at a 46-point spread if you wanted to, in that case.
Well, actually, what I think the odds bettors are going to place it at is definitely not that high, because even though Reinhardt is an NAIA program, they are a dominant NAIA program at their level. So I don't think it's going to be that high, but it's not going to be as low as, say, like 12.5, 10.5. It's not going to be that low.
We'll keep the receipts on these two and see how this goes. One, we'll keep the receipt at the odds or who's making the odds, and then we'll keep the receipt at who picks it. So yeah, I'm gonna say Kennesaw State fails to win by more than 28 points. I say I could see them winning by 28, but I don't see them winning by 5 scores.
All right, so the second one I have for you is UCA at Arkansas State. And I have the spread set at 9.5 in favor of Arkansas State.
9.5 in favor of Arkansas State. See, that's a good line. I believe it was 9.5 when we went to Western Kentucky and won by 7. I believe it was a little more than that when we went to Tulsa, and then it was a lot more than that when we went to Kansas State. The homer pick in me is that UCA will cover that, and because I am a homer and UCA is superior to that farm school up in Jonesboro, Arkansas, I'm pretty sure it's like Agriculture Day while we're there or something, but UCA covers that spread. If you have watched the preview episode, you know that I did pick UCA to I did not pick UCA to lose. I picked Arkansas State to win in what was a full season preview like 5 weeks ago. But I'm going to say that UCA covers that, and possibly, depending on how close it is going into the fourth quarter, pulls the upset. So I'm going to say that is a close game, and if we do lose, we do not lose by 10 points. So yeah, I say we cover a 9.5 point spread.
What would have been funny about this is I also applied to grad school at Arkansas State. So if I had went, we would have been at the game. No, absolutely not. I would be cheering for UCA. Well, who do you think I am?
No, they've got a cool little hand signal. It actually kind of looks like the Red Wolf. But we'll go Wolves down on Saturday. I want Arkansas State to win every single game they ever play, except when they're playing UCA. No, I have a lot of respect for Arkansas State, a lot of respect for Butch Jones and the program up there. I got a lot of friends that play in Jonesboro, but yeah, I think UCA covers 9.5 point spread. I think that game could be close, especially with as experienced as UCA is. And you heard me mention talent, like half the SEC following Butch Jones. That's true, but this is the very first game of the year. Very first game for a lot of new faces in Jonesboro. that may not have, if they weren't, everyday players in their respective schools in the SEC, they may or may not have gotten much playing time, much experience. Mix that with first game of the year, a little rust on the gears for some new players. That's experience has a chance to make some noise in that one. So yeah, I'm going to say UCA keeps it close at least. Maybe gets the upset. But that is it for the odds part of the episode. So you've got, you've got EKU covering 17.5, and you've got Southeastern an easy cover over North Alabama, and I've got UCA and Reinhardt both covering their respective spreads against upper level teams. So from that, we'll go into our final segment. We're going to call it, Brandon has actually named this one, so shout out to you. Shameless plug. We're calling it the ASUN forecast because ASUN sounds like a weather forecast anyway. It's always sunny here in the ASUN conference. Ted Gumbard, if you want to use that in your next video address, you are more than welcome. I don't charge copyright like some people do. So we're calling it the ASUN forecast, and we're going to predict every game as if you haven't really heard us do it already. But so Kennesaw versus Reinhardt, I've got Kennesaw winning that one. I'm assuming you do too.
Yeah, I got Kennesaw winning by at least 3 scores.
Also, if you heard me talking about copyright, that was not aimed at anybody in particular. Our intro music for the past few got a copyright hit on YouTube, even though we had a license to use it. And so we're ended up going to have to change it so that we can not bar ourselves from viewership. So that wasn't at anybody. That was just me being annoyed with copyright strikes because I really liked that music.
I just don't like copyright laws. There's too much that goes with them, but
and there was nothing wrong with us using it. Like YouTube just kind of hit us with the copyright claim, and so they said,
right. If anything, it's geared towards YouTube.
Yeah, I mean it's whatever. I mean, the guy that wrote that song was a G. It was good. It was some great music. I'm sure that's being played in some like downtown club in Miami somewhere. Moving on, Eastern Kentucky, Western Carolina. I think we both have Eastern Kentucky picked to win this one.
Yeah, I have Eastern Kentucky winning this one.
And then North Alabama and Southeastern. I set the spread on that one. You picked Southeastern to cover. So obviously you picked Southeastern to win. I think that Southeastern is a great team. But you know what I also think is that North Alabama is on the cusp of something special. They're in Florence in their last year transition. And so I'm going to, for the purposes of being a contrarian, I'm going to say that North Alabama gets the upset in Hammond. Their Southeastern's had some stuff going on, praying for those guys. They were in the path of Hurricane Ida. Nichols, I guess, who else? Grambling.
McNeese.
Well, McNeese was west of it. That they were, they got missed by this one. They got, the double whammy last year, but they were kind of out of the path of that one. Thank goodness, because they did not need another one. But yeah. So University of New Orleans. I know you don't have not FCS, but Division I. So yeah, you guys are in our thoughts and prayers. So that needless to say, that's a distraction. Going through something like that here early in the week and then having to play on Saturday. Who knows how that affects practice schedules. So I'm going to say North Alabama goes down to Hammond and gets the dub. So go Lions from Florence.
Yeah, I got CeeLo winning by 2 touchdowns.
Not afraid to call him CeeLo anymore?
Shush.
And then
it's out of habit.
And then Central Arkansas against Arkansas State. Let me hear your pick on this one.
I got Arkansas State.
I picked Arkansas State on the preview. I could go back and cross myself and say that because I put a disclaimer in there that those predictions were not to last They were for the purposes of entertainment only. And we haven't had a game yet, but I watched practice I watched scrimmage and a practice a couple weeks ago. We look good. We look really good. And I'm just going to do it. If I had headgear here, I do have headgear here. It's just in my closet and I'd have to get up, and that would be a whole 10 seconds that would be you just sitting there staring at a blank screen. UCA wins. UCA goes to Jonesboro, gets the win. I'm saying that experience takes talent to not necessarily to the woodshed, but I'm saying we keep it close fourth quarter and come out on top. We've got some guys that have played in close games. We've won a lot of close games over the past couple of years. That was kind of our thing, was to get down and then come back. So I'm going to say that we get the win in Jonesboro. I'm picking 2 upsets this week just because I think both teams have the capability of doing it, and because I really do want one of the teams to win. I really do. But what do you think about me picking that upset?
No, that's a good pick for you. Really for this game, like I think this game could go either way. With the spread that I gave, I picked Arkansas State, but I'm picking UCA to cover.
There's just something. We went last year, played them in a hurricane, or the remnants of Hurricane Delta, and so our passing game was pretty much neutralized. Yeah, that was kind of our MO. It has been for the last couple of years. We throw the ball around. We've got, top tier receivers and a great quarterback. We weren't really able to do that last year because of the rain. They kind of stuffed our run game quite a bit, so we were kind of one-dimensional. And they had a little more success on the ground, which then opened up the pass game when it dried out a little bit. So they got the best of us last year, but I think that on a neutral field in good conditions, that game is a little different. I think we have all the capability in the world to go to Northeast Arkansas and get the win. So I'm going to go ahead and pick it just because I want it to happen. I think it can happen. So why not pick it? But other than that I guess that wraps it up pretty much. You've already told me which game you're most excited to watch, and I've already said, obviously, which one I'm most excited to watch. So I guess that's about it for week 1. I'm ready to watch a full weekend of football. It was fun to watch a few games this past weekend. Watched the kickoff down in Atlanta with North Carolina Central and Alcorn State. That was fun. And then it was fun to see some FBS games as well.
I watched the Indiana State Illinois State game, and that was a fun game to watch too.
Yeah, Indiana State, they're a team that some people are picking to make some noise. So
did I say Illinois State or Eastern Illinois?
You said Illinois State. You meant Eastern
but
Illinois.
It's Eastern Illinois, yeah.
Yeah, but
which Eastern really impressed me. I thought Indiana State was going to run away with that, but I was very impressed with what I saw from Eastern.
No doubt. And, Eastern Illinois program's got a lot of history behind it. So anytime you can get a win like that, Indiana State, it's pretty impressive. But yeah, there's some people picking them to be, a 6th place Valley team. And who knows, 5th or 6th place Valley team, you're looking at potentially, being on the bubble for a playoff spot, depending on who you beat. So any game like that is a big one for the Sycamores. But I found a Indiana State hat at TJ Maxx in my hometown in Arkansas. Yeah. I found a North Dakota State hat too. I bought them both. I don't understand why they sent them to Central Arkansas, but whatever. It was fun. I bought them. They were like $3. But anyway, thanks for listening to this week's episode of Around the ASUN. You can catch us recording on Sunday after the weekend's slate is over for the rest of the season. So we'll recap the previous week's games and then preview the current week, just like we did tonight. So again, thanks for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Around the ASUN. Make sure you follow FCS Fans Nation at FCS_Fans_Nation and join the community on Facebook. Over 9,000 members. Like I say every week, you make some great friends. I wouldn't know Brandon if it wasn't for this. I wouldn't know a lot of the guys from different places if it wasn't for that page. A lot of community. You'll end up making some friends forever on that page. So big time community there. So make sure you join that. As always, thanks to those guys for letting us be a part of the FCS Fans Nation Network. Make sure you follow all the shows that are coming out on the YouTube channel, which is just FCS Fans Nation on YouTube. So you can find that. So everybody have a great week. Enjoy week 1